What if you lost your husband and had to take care of an annoying kid who's driving you to the edge of a mental breakdown? To make matters worse, you find out your house might be haunted by a malevolent entity known as the Babadook. What would you do in that situation? This is the story of the Babadook, a film released in 2014, and that I'm about to break down and beat, or at least try to survive this curse. Before we start, hit that subscribe button for more films like this, and shout at the like button. The film kicks off with us meeting Amelia, a single mother having a terrible nightmare where she crashes her car. She wakes up only to realize that she's in an even worse nightmare, because in real life, she has to take care of her son, Samuel, who won't stop calling her name throughout the entire movie.
Look at me, Mom.
Come on, Samuel.
Mom! Mom!
Shut the fuck up! Shut up! What are you doing?
The kid's so annoying. He asks to sleep with Amelia, and she's at her wit's end, to the point of lying on the other side of the bed to get some space. The next day, we see the kid must have downed a whole case of Red Bull because he builds a baseball bat launcher and breaks a window. He claims he's ready to fight any monster, but Amelia loses it and tells him to stop using his imagination like that. Amelia works at an elderly care home, where she's responsible for giving patients their heavy-duty meds. I wouldn't be surprised if she needs those pills herself soon. She then gets a call from her son's school and heads over to hear a lecture from the principal and Samuel's teacher, who show her a weapon her kid brought to class. The principal goes straight for the jugular, telling Amelia that her son will now be monitored and separated from the other kids. Amelia tries to stand her ground and threatens to move Samuel to a new school, but the teachers convince her to go with their plan. Later, Amelia takes Samuel to a playground. While the kid wreaks havoc, talking non-stop, Amelia chats with her sister about a joint birthday party for Samuel and his cousin Ruby. But then Amelia's sister drops some bad news. Ruby wants her own separate birthday party. The truth is, Amelia can't celebrate Samuel's birthday on the actual date because it's the same day her husband died in a car accident while rushing Amelia to the hospital when she was in labor. That night, Samuel picks out a creepy book for Amelia to read to him. The book talks about the Babadook, a creature that knocks 3 times before physically appearing. After that, the book says the person will wish they were dead. Amelia stops reading the creepy book for obvious reasons and tells Samuel to go to bed. The next morning, she realizes she's going to get in trouble at work since it's already 9 a.m. and she's definitely going to be late. With that, she asks her sister to watch Samuel, lying and saying he didn't go to school because he's sick. The problem is, Amelia is living in a parallel universe and can't focus on work. This causes a colleague named Robbie to offer to cover her shift and suggests she go home and rest. Instead, Amelia, being a bit of a trickster, decides to go to the mall where she sees couples making out. When she gets home, her sister scolds her, saying Samuel won't stop scaring Ruby with his Babadook stories. Amelia takes Samuel home, and that's when Samuel notices the closet doors open and believes the Babadook is hiding inside. After all, the kid had shut the closet before leaving. Amelia once again tells him to stop bothering her, which honestly, I do too. Another thing Amelia could have done to end this nightmare was get the kid into some sports. He spends all day cooped up at home, which means he's full of energy and driving his mom nuts with all his nonsense. If she had enrolled him in swimming or soccer, he would have come home tired and gone straight to bed without bothering her. Anyway, Samuel and Amelia sit down to eat cereal, and she bites into a shard of glass, which seems to have come from the broken window. Samuel claims it was the work of the Babadook, but Amelia doesn't pay any attention. Samuel goes to bed, but wakes up in a panic when he looks up and sees something that scares him so badly he literally craps himself. Amelia hears the screaming and rushes to his room, where he's yelling at her not to let the Babadook in. In a panic, Amelia grabs the Babadook book and rips out its pages, hoping to calm her son down. The next day is Ruby's birthday. Everyone's having fun except Samuel, who hides from the entity in his cousin's treehouse. Of course, Ruby doesn't like him being there and tells him to get lost. Samuel refuses, and it ends up in a full-blown argument where Ruby says stuff like, "You don't have a dad, nobody likes you, Saint Seiya is better than Dragon Ball Z." What? This sends Samuel into a rage, and he pushes Ruby to the ground, leaving her with a nasty scar after breaking her nose in 2 places. The incident causes a rift between Amelia and her sister, who calls her son unbearable. Amelia defends herself, saying she has no one to talk to and never complained about losing her husband. Her sister tells her she never processed her grief properly, and that's why she looks like an old cat lady. On the way home, Samuel throws a tantrum and screams like a banshee. This makes Amelia snap, and she wonders wonders why her son can't just be a normal kid. Suddenly, Samuel looks out the window and says the Babadook is getting closer, but Amelia doesn't see anyone. The kid starts having a seizure, sending him to the hospital for a one-way ticket. Samuel's condition stabilizes, and the doctor says the kid has severe anxiety, which probably triggered the seizure. The doctor suggests a psychiatrist to help the kid, but the doctor's schedule is booked for weeks. In the face of this chaos, Amelia asks for some tranquilizers, which the doctor prescribes, albeit reluctantly.
That's what I'm talking about.
That night, Amelia gives one of the meds to Samuel, who asks if taking it will make the Babadook disappear. Amelia tells him not to mention that demon's name again, and Samuel sets a condition. If she protects him, he'll take care of her. The next morning, we see Amelia waking up recharged, because Samuel actually slept through the night without bugging her. But of course, things aren't all sunshine and rainbows, because someone knocks 3 times at the door. No. Amelia opens the door and finds the Babadook book on the floor. Someone has glued the pages back together, but the phrases are all different, and Amelia sees the shapes of the book, suggesting she's about to end up with the family dog, her son, and herself. All done for. She wisely sets the book on fire and later gets a call from her sister with an update on Ruby's health. Amelia's sister subtly implies she wants to distance herself from her, leaving Amelia feeling even more isolated. The phone rings again, and when Amelia picks up, she hears the horrible voice of none other than the Babadook.
What's up?
Desperation strikes again, prompting Amelia to run to the nearest police station and tell an officer someone is stalking her and her son. She mentions the book, and the officer asks to see it. When Amelia says she burned it, the cop says there's nothing he can do about it. Still, Amelia brings up the creepy phone call she received, but the officer couldn't care less and brushes her off. The cop could have been a bit more helpful by requesting a call log from the phone company to try and trace the number that called her. That way, the police might have been able to track down the jerk tormenting Amelia's life. Even if she was just delirious, it would have helped the police understand her psychological instability and possibly take Samuel away from her, but whatever. Amelia sees the Babadook physically in the back of the station and bolts from the scene, tail between her legs. When she gets back home, things get even worse. She sees cockroaches crawling out from behind the fridge and notices a hole in the wall. As she gets ready for a major cleaning session, 2 social workers knock on the door asking why Samuel missed school for the past 2 days. She says he's sick, but Samuel innocently blabs that he's been feeling sick because of the tranquilizers. Thinking fast, Amelia says she has a prescription to medicate her son, which calms the social workers down. They say they'll come back next week to check if she's a little less crazy. One of the workers asks for a glass of water, and Amelia says not to mind the mess because she's been cleaning the kitchen. Amelia mentions the hole in the wall, but when the workers look, there's nothing behind the fridge. Later, Amelia is doing the dishes when she looks out the window and sees the Babadook watching her from the neighbor's house, making her feel a chill of fear. When she goes to sleep, things get crazy because the Babadook appears on the ceiling and jumps on her. This forces Amelia to grab her son and head to the living room, thinking she'll be safe if she stays awake watching TV.
Really?
Honestly, in that situation, I would have run to the car and slept in the vehicle, because everything points to the house being haunted by a spirit, or worse. The next morning, we see Amelia exhausted, and Samuel pesters her, asking her to make him something to eat. However, Amelia says she needs to sleep and, in a fit of rage, tells him to eat crap. She later apologizes to him and takes him out for a nice ice cream treat. That's good because, after spending so much time locked in the house, it's clear both the kid and she have serious psychological issues. Getting out and seeing different people and places can help alleviate the anxiety and prevent more freak-out moments. Unfortunately, things get worse when they head home, and while Amelia's driving, she sees cockroaches crawling up her clothes along with the Babadook on top of the car. She and Samuel freak out, which causes Amelia to crash into another car. The guy in the other car is pissed and gives her a lecture, but Amelia's broke and doesn't have money for insurance, so she takes off, leaving the angry driver to deal with the damage himself. At this point, Amelia truly believes she's being tormented by the Babadook, but she could have taken some steps to protect herself, like spreading salt on the floor to keep that demon away. Spreading crucifixes around the house might have helped weaken the curse. Saying a prayer and maybe calling the priest to bless the house could have also made Amelia feel safer. If all of this was in her head because of depression and unresolved grief over her husband's death, that means Amelia believes in the entity. Therefore, these little rituals might have worked as a placebo effect, and she might have convinced herself she sent the demon to hell. That might have calmed her mind. After all, this whole mess is coming from her subconscious. I'd also consider handing my kid over to child services, since one night she sees Samuel dead and panics, only to realize soon after that he's alive. At this point, Amelia still has some awareness and control over herself, which could allow her to go back to the police station and ask for a psychiatrist's help and declare herself mentally unstable so the state can take custody of Samuel. Amelia tries to ease her craziness by petting Bugsy, the friendly dog, but he senses the mental chaos in her head and runs out of the room. At this point, she should have taken one of Samuel's tranquilizers, considering these meds are almost impossible to get without a prescription in Australia, where the film takes place. The tranquilizer might have made Amelia see things more clearly, but whatever, let's move on. Amelia goes to sleep, giving Samuel the chance to be clever and call the neighbor, asking if he can sleep over at her place. The problem is, Amelia wakes up and brushes off the neighbor's concern, saying everything is fine. After hanging up the phone, Amelia transforms into a raging, toothless tiger and declares that no one's leaving the house. The crazy woman then cuts the landline and freaks Samuel out. At this point, Amelia completely loses it. The lights in the house flicker out and she heads down to the basement where she sees her husband. He tells her they can be together forever as long as she brings the boy down to play with him.
Hell no!
That's when Amelia realizes that her husband is just a hallucination created by the Babadook, and she freezes in terror. We then see a replay of the accident that killed him as Amelia's husband's head is split in two. When Amelia tries to run, but the demon possesses her, causing her to completely snap. The dog senses the bad vibes and tries to confront her, but he's not fierce enough and ends up with his neck snapped by this evil entity. The neighbor called Mrs. Roach hears the commotion from next door. She asks if everything's okay with Amelia and Samuel, but Amelia, being the great actress she is, tells her everything's fine. At this point, Mrs. Roach should have called the police to report the chaos happening, considering the dog had been barking non-stop just moments earlier, and the screams from hell could be heard next door. If Roach had called it in, the cops might have been able to prevent things from getting worse, and even lock this woman away. Screw it, because Amelia tries to send Samuel off to the afterlife and turns into the Spider Woman by breaking into her son's room. Things don't escalate too badly though, because Samuel isn't exactly an angel. He runs down to the basement and pulls off some Home Alone moves to outsmart his mom, making her trip and knock herself out cold when she hits the floor. She wakes up a few minutes later to find herself tied up by the kid, who somehow turned into a Boy Scout professional. The kid says she allowed the Babadook to enter, but Samuel tells her he's going to protect her. At this point, he should have run to the neighbor's house and asked Mrs. Roach to call an ambulance and send paramedics to take Amelia to a nearby asylum, but no, instead he chooses to wait for his mom to free herself and turn into a lead singer for Megadeth.
Watch him become a god.
Amelia tries to strangle Samuel, but the little guy gently strokes her face, causing her to vomit up a black substance, which seems to expel the Babadook. However, Samuel reminds her that it's impossible to get rid of the Babadook, and that's when an invisible force drags him back to his room. Amelia saves him, but is forced to relive the vision of her husband's death. Furious, she confronts the Babadook and locks it in the basement, shutting the door behind her. Amelia and Samuel manage to recover in the days that follow, and the mom seems much better, suggesting she left the trauma in the basement, where her husband's personal belongings were. She encourages Samuel to build homemade weapons, and she's impressed when the kid gets into backyard magic tricks, summoning a white dove out of nowhere. How the heck did he do that? We see the two of them picking worms in the garden and putting them into a bowl. Amelia then takes the offering to the basement, where the Babadook tries to attack her. Amelia manages to calm the entity with the meal, allowing her to head back to the garden and celebrate Samuel's birthday, this time on the right day. If you didn't get it, the film's director, Jennifer Kent, helped with this, and admitted that the Babadook is a manifestation of Amelia's unresolved depression and grief, while she's also stuck with the responsibility of being a single mom to an annoying kid. The Babadook received nearly perfect reviews from critics and was highly praised by audiences. It's one of the coolest movies from the past decade, blending the possession subgenre with mental health issues, which leaves viewers confused because we don't know if the entity is real or just in Amelia's mind. This duality creates an interesting dynamic, and the best part is that the film has the perfect runtime to tell the story properly. The performances of the mother and son by Essie Davis and Noah Wiseman are jaw-dropping and definitely deserve more recognition. Overall, it's a great experience, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10. At the box office, the movie did really well, earning over $10 million on a $2 million budget. Without further ado, let's get to the body count. Unfortunately, we only had one corpse, so the Black Bag Award goes to Amelia's husband. Don't forget to hit the like button. I see you on next video, and bye!